So this is my everyday carry. So I'd like to start off with this Herschel wallet. I've been using this exact Herschel wallet for the past 8 years and it's been nothing short of fantastic. As you can see, it is kind of dirty, but that's what happens when you use a product for 8 years straight and you do not really wash it that often. It definitely needs a bit of a cleanup. I think I threw it once before in the washing machine and it survived. I'm not going to do that again, and I do not recommend that you do that because once it came out of the machine it was kind of slightly deformed and I bent it back into place, let it dry, and it's been fine ever since. But yeah, don't do that. These wallets are made out of a canvas-like material. They're really quite durable. You can clearly see signs of wear on mine, but for 8 years I think it's in great shape. The wallet itself has 8 card slots, which is one of the main reasons I chose it. The model name of this is the Herschel Roy, and it's got only one money slot. I've recently been eyeing some card holder minimalistic wallets, and I'm not really sure if I'm going to change into one of those, but maybe I'll try one of them out. So next up, my pens. Currently I've been switching between these two pens, Sarasa versus a cheap Amazon pen. The exact one I'll put in the description. So this Sarasa writes extremely well, and it's a lot more practical as an on-the-go item. There's no need to uncap and recap and worry about losing the cap. It's also way quicker to get to writing. I'm a fan of the 0.5mm nibs, as I find it to be a good trade-off between smooth, unscratchy writing and thin lines. Another important aspect of the everyday carry pen is the ability to lose it and not worry too much. So it should not be too expensive, and this isn't. A couple of months back, this Lamy was actually my EDC pen, but it runs out of ink in about 2 months and the refills cost nearly as much as a pen. So I absolutely do not recommend it. It also writes far too thick and loses ink quickly on thinner paper. So earphones. These are the Nothing ear ones. So the first product that Nothing came out with. And I've been using it for the past 3 years and 5 days or so. Like everyone, I was pretty hyped on their first product, and at the same time my AirPods Gen 1 died after 4 years of intensive use. It's quite literally dead. It can play something for about 20 seconds before it dies. That's after having charged it. The ear ones have been fantastic for the price. I'm happy with almost everything except for the size of the case and the shape of it. It's pretty inconvenient in a pocket, and when you compare it to the AirPod Gen 1s, those were the best pocketable ones. I did pay the full $100 for this because I bought it when it was new, and I was expecting a maximum lifespan of 3 years. You know, these things are tiny, they've got tiny batteries, they keep getting charged and recharged. You don't expect them to really last too long. But it's been 3 years and these have exceeded my expectations, and they're still going strong. My threshold for these sort of earbuds are not that high. I mainly use it for workouts and phone calls. Phone calls is really the main thing. Battery life is still pretty good. The fastest way to kill this thing is through a call, and I still get 2 hours and 15 minutes of straight talk time. If I were just to listen to something, then that would give me about 3.5 to 4 hours. I'll take that for a product that I've used every day for the past 3 years. Now we get onto the phone. This is my iPhone 13 Pro, and I've got the 128 gig model. This has been the best phone I've had thus far. I've had an LG G3, an iPhone 6s, an iPhone XR, then this. This phone is great because of cameras, screen, and battery life. And how slick it looks. Every time I take this out of the case, I wish for nothing more than to be able to use this caseless. I think I'd only actually do that if I was in the market for the next phone. In terms of cameras, I think the main and ultra-wide cameras are brilliant, even today, but the telephoto kind of breaks down in lower light situations. I use it quite a lot, but mainly to photograph signs or boards far away. These photos are just to document, they're not really to look that good. Now the screen. The 120Hz screen is the great Apple ripoff. Pro shouldn't really mean 120Hz. The CMF phone from Nothing costs less than $200 and it has 120Hz. What the hell is Apple doing? But still, the 120Hz was one of the reasons to get the Pro model, and it still remains to be the case. It's just really unfortunate. See, to me, this iPhone was the first Pro phone where it actually made sense to get the Pro version over the standard one. The differences were big enough. These days, I don't see sufficient difference between the iPhone 13 Pro, the 14 Pro, the 15 Pro, and the 16 Pro to actually upgrade to the 16 or any other one of those. The camera though is a significant difference from the 14 onwards because of the 48 megapixels, but I think this is good enough. I'm not really into photography, so that's not my thing. For the occasional skyline photos, this looks fantastic, as you see. Video is also great, but I don't use more than this offers, and I don't expect so much from a phone. My upgrade cycles for the iPhones has been every 3 years, so that would kind of imply that this is the year for me to change. But I'm not too convinced about the iPhone 16 Pro. I haven't spent too much time with it in hand, but from the differences on paper, I don't think it makes that much sense. The only reason I would even slightly be tempted by it is because of the camera and because of having a phone with a newer battery. The 13 Pro has had fantastic battery life, but I'm now down to 88%, which is pretty decent still, but I really like having more battery. Next up is this Magsafe accessory. Well, this is a cheap one off eBay, but it serves the job. I've had this on my phone for the past 2 years. This wallet has never been lost. You can see it's quite scuffed up and the PU is beginning to peel off, but for 2 years it was pretty solid. It's only begun to break down in the last 2 months or so. And I would actually get another one of these in actual leather so it doesn't break down over time. Now this is a fantastic system for me because I get to have 2 cards in this, and then I don't always have to go around with my wallet. And the biggest factor is the magnets have not weakened over time. That was my main concern when I got this. I thought, what if the magnets just weaken over time and then I lose my cards? But I'm happy to say it's been as solid as day one. My only gripe is, well, PU breaks down, wears down, looks kind of terrible after a ton of use. So it's still decent for about $6. But the case itself, this plastic transparent case, is now yellow. It's yellow due to UV rays, so that's not that pleasing, and I really want a transparent case because this phone looks so good. It needs to really be seen. Maybe I'll swap the case out, but for now it's serving its purpose, and if I get another transparent case it would also yellow out. So now sunglasses. These are my sunglasses of choice. Very much emphasizing the word choice because I spec'd it out exactly the way I like it. I customized them to my taste on the Ray-Ban website about 18 months ago, and that's to me why this one is perfect. This is the Clubmaster model. It's of course polarized, and I love the magenta blue gradient lens. I think these are the nicest. I customized the frames on this to be made out of solid metal, have a matte finish, and I wanted all the accents to be black instead of chrome. That was pretty important. Additionally, I wanted more flair, so I went with the back halves of it to be made out of this turtle shell design. I think all in all, this is my perfect spec and I love it. In terms of reliability, I once sat on these and these have kind of bent. I kind of bent the frame back into place. You can't really tell, and it's not changed anything in the functionality or in the way it sits on my face. Next up is a watch. Today, it's the G-Shock Rangeman 9400. But in terms of an everyday watch, you can't really beat this. Highlights of this watch include the fact that it's solar powered, it syncs to atomic clocks, so I never need to set the time, even when daylight savings occurs. And it's good because it's got some cool gimmicks like an altimeter, a barometer, a thermometer, and a compass. It's also got latitude and longitude based sunrise and sunset time indications depending on the time of year. It's a very cool piece, all in one. I use the word gimmick because the altimeter always needs to be recalibrated, so you can't really be bothered to use it. The thermometer also makes 0 sense when it's on your wrist because it reads a mixture of room temperature and your body temperature, which tells you nothing. So you really have to sit on a desk for many hours together to get a reading of the room. And realistically, you'd only do that when you wake up in the morning before putting the watch back on. The barometer, however, is fantastic. It quite accurately predicts how the weather is going to change. So you'd see an uptick if the weather is going to get better, so no more clouds, blue skies, and you see a downtrend if it's going to rain or get cloudy, which is quite useful in terms of deciding when to go outside. So that's my EDC. If you want to know what's in my tech pouch, there's a video on that. Check it out.